The fourth episode in the series, and here's where we land. We've talked about drift, how mediocrity compounds quietly when no one takes ownership. We talked about the social tension that comes when you try to raise a standard in a group that's settled. We talked about why systems are necessary, because even the most committed people can burn out without some sort of structure. And now, today, we come back to the core. Because systems don't execute themselves. Documents don't read themselves. Standards don't uphold themselves. People do. Specifically, people who have chosen to own something rather than just comply with it. That's a distinction worth sitting with. Compliance says, I'll do what's required. Ownership says, I'll do what advances the mission or the vision or the core values. Compliance waits for the reminder. Ownership anticipates what's needed. Compliance does the minimum to avoid consequences. Ownership does what's necessary to move something forward, whether somebody's watching or not. Is it in your job description? No? Who cares? Do it anyway. That gap between compliance and ownership is where culture is really forged. You can't systemize your way across that. You can't mandate your way across it. Every person has to choose which side they're on, repeatedly, in the small moments when people aren't talking. Here's what above average behavior looks like in practice. Not the dramatic version, the disciplined version. It's preparing before being asked. It's revisiting governing documents when a decision is coming, not after the conflict arrives. It's asking for clarification when confused, rather than guessing and moving on. It's self-correcting without defensiveness when you're wrong, and it's following through without a second prompt. Now, if you rewind that and play that back, you'll notice that none of those things are extraordinary. None of it requires a special talent. It just requires discipline. Discipline to do the unglamorous thing consistently. Some would call that virtuosity. And discipline is invisible until it starts compounding. Then suddenly the team that does these things quietly is the team everyone else is trying to figure out. Here's the question that matters most in this 4-part series. I want you to sit with it if you can. If everyone in your organization performed at your current level of preparation, not your intention, your actual behavior level, would you call that organization excellent? That's the mirror. It might be uncomfortable because some of us have a gap between who we intend to be and who we show up as. Naming that gap honestly without defensiveness is where ownership begins. Now, excellence doesn't require everyone to be extraordinary. That's not the standard. It requires everyone to just raise the floor, to find the baseline they're currently operating at and move it up, whether that's preparation or engagement or follow through or some other aspect of what you do. Not everything all at once, just small things consistently. When floors rise across a team, performance rises, not because anyone became dramatically more talented, but because the aggregate of disciplined ordinary behavior is more powerful than occasional bursts of individual brilliance. Culture is not what you say you value. It's not your mission statement or your core values poster hanging in the break room. It is repeated behavior. And repeated behavior is driven by personal discipline. Quiet, unglamorous decision to prepare, engage, and own your commitments to follow through. That decision does not require a system to prompt it. Those systems help, and it doesn't require social pressure, even though accountability helps. At its core, it requires a person who's decided that the standard matters and has chosen to hold it personally, whether or not anyone else does. Now, here's the through line of this entire series. Excellence is not socially dangerous when enough people, choose responsibility. It's not personality dependent when ownership is shared. It's not system dependent when character is present. All 4 of these episodes have been pointing at the same thing. The gap between the organization you say you want and the one you're actually building is filled or not filled by individual decisions made quietly and repeatedly when no one's watching. So here's your final challenge. Stop asking why others won't raise the standard. Start asking where you don't. That's personal leadership. That is the foundation of culture. That is how standards actually reset. Not from the top down, not from a new policy, but from people, you, deciding they're done waiting for someone else to go first.